you need to change the story you tell about your patterns and wounds, your unhealthy attention seeking, or some other form of imbalance. Listen, in order to heal, you need to change the story you tell about your patterns and wounds. Your care towards someone or something has never and will never be the problem. What you need to address is the internal void that makes it impossible for you to do so without being consumed. With detachment, the goal is not to care less. You should care, you're human. The goal is to separate your core identity and well-being from your attachment to people. As a child, your life and identity quite literally depended on your bond with your caretakers. But as an adult, your sense of self-worth, your sense of being must come from within. Any bond in which you neglect or outsource your primary duty of care to yourself, or where you hijack another person's responsibility for their own well-being, is problematic. It's not your role in any relationship to foresee, search out, solve, or control another person's behavior, emotions, or life. You are not a detective. You are not a detective. That's not your role in any relationship. I see people take pride in being able to find, you are not a detective. You are not a savior. You're not an oracle. The minute you feel engulfed by another person to the point that you abandon your own story to place side in theirs, you've transitioned from the natural need to build connection to using them as a lifeline. That's where the work is.
I mean, I talked about my ex. That's what we were talking about.
Yeah. Would you elaborate on this? Or without using, obviously you wouldn't use any names.
Well, sure.
Right, what happened?
Hold on, I'm thinking. This is me thinking. So I was actually thinking about, there's a couple villains from my past that are coming back into my life, which is so strange and so weird. I thought we left that behind. And it had me thinking of a scenario where my ex, so my boyfriend at the time, basically put me on with one of his friends.
Okay.
That's so strange. You're my boyfriend. Why are you putting me on to your friends?
He passed the rock.
Hello?
I was listening to the rest of the story.
I mean, moral of the story is don't have a boyfriend. I don't know, because to be honest,
That's
don't
the moral?
know. Yeah, that's the moral.
Because he did that to your face.
Yep.
Girl.
And was this the other giraffe? He was another giraffe, or was it another animal?
Be honest.
He was a giraffe, but from a different tower.
So what does that mean?
We're in the same kind of family.
Does he have Instagram?
I won't divulge, but yes, he does. Actually,
What does he post? How does he post?
Funny story. He doesn't like when his girlfriends take pictures of him. He told me that.
And why is that?
I don't know, but he allows his boys to take pictures of him. Now, here's my theory. He has a picture of him in a decorated hotel. It says happy birthday, balloons all over the place. And I think he was there with his boys.
They did that?
They decorated his...
You better give us some back shots.
Decorated a hotel room for his birthday.
Did you put roses on the bed?
They put balloons and candles.
Mahogany teak wood.
So, yeah.
What do you think they did for the rest of the night? Dabbed up?
Yeah, just dabbed up, cuddled, kissed with the homies. It's just the homies.
Socks on and it's not gay.
Socks on and it's not gay.
That's just magic, friends. If you look at it, if you look at things like that, that's what you're gonna get. All the cliches, all the aphorisms, all the trite sayings from crystal gazing new age cuckoos have been confirmed by scientists. Our observation of reality brings reality into being. Your very attention shapes reality. You're affecting reality at the fundamental level. That's what that's all about. And it also is kind of sinister when we think about all the corporate logos floating around us at all times. And how these corporations probably understand this very simple principle that if they can get enough people to turn that lighthouse, that reality-shaping lighthouse in the direction of their corporate symbology, is symbology even a word? I don't know. Then they can harness the power, the creative power of all mankind to bring their company or business or whatever it is they want into existence and keep it there by holding it in the visual field. That's why corporations pay so much fucking money for these billboards. This is why when you're watching something just for a second and you think, why would they even pay for that? Maybe they understand this stuff in some subconscious way. Maybe they have a different way of saying it. They're not going to say, oh yes, we understand that the human force of attention is one of the most powerful things that exists in this dimension, and that if we can turn enough optic nerves in the direction of our symbols, then we will actually summon a kind of money-making spirit that exists in the world. We can actually convert that attention into dough. They're going to have different corporate ways of saying that, but it's the same principle. You got to bring it back to yourself, which is every single day when your mind, like some awful stubborn mule, starts pulling the chariot of your life in the direction of hell by talking shit about friends or hating yourself or contemplating suicide or considering how miserable your life is or turning towards the hopeless. When it starts pulling the chariot of your life toward the fields of desolation that so many other lives have been yanked into, you've got to grab the reins and use your will. Consider this scientific experiment and recognize that the untrained mind that is running amok through your life is actually summoning demons into your very existence. And you've got to turn your gaze in the direction of the good, no matter how absurd, ridiculous, or absolutely insane it may seem. Because you are, as far as we know, the most intelligent, sentient being that exists in this dimension.
Hey, so, do you guys want to hear a ghost story?
Yes,
Yes,
of
we
course.
do.
So, this happened when I was a young pup, you know, not too fresh out the room, but I was, you know, doing my thing, only pup. So, this is when my mom had moved over to here, where we are right now.
I have to bleep that.
Oh shit, my bad. And it was like the first place we moved to over here, and we were in like a basement apartment. So my mom swears, mom pup, she swears that it was haunted, but we all know that it's haunted.
You had the vibe like that. You felt it right away.
Well, so as a kid, like your gifts are really powerful if you are gifted, because it's like it's gifted when you're young, and then it's really gifted when you get old. It's just something like I guess the closer you are to, I guess, birth or death. I don't know.
Actually, yeah, my cousin, my grandpa has a tendency of picking stuff up from like thrift stores and stuff, and stuff that you shouldn't really pick up.
Like
So
what? What do you mean?
he got her a stuffed animal, which I wouldn't get at a thrift store. He got her a stuffed animal, and she, like at night, would see somebody named Grandpa.
Ew.
And it was so scary to me. And yeah, she would see this grandpa until they got rid of the stuffed animal.
And then she would slap?
Yeah, then she stopped, and yeah, that was
hell
pretty
no.
scary.
Like, continue your story.
Oh, so we moved in this place now. She had this boyfriend at the time, You know, he was a preacher, had a daughter and stuff. So it was cool. We'll play like Michael Jackson, and stuff. So at night in the kitchen, you'll always hear like somebody was in the kitchen. Like you'll hear like the spoons and stuff moving in the kitchen.
Oh no.
And all of that, like the plates moving and all. And then this was the worst part, the bathroom. Like every time, it felt like somebody was in the bathroom with you. Like somebody was sitting in the bathroom watching you. So I would hate showering. Like I would shower so fast and get the fuck out because it felt like really fucking scary. So, I had got grounded. We're not gonna get into that. This is the only time I got grounded, y'all. I was not bad like that. So, I had to sleep out in the hallway because it was a 1-bedroom apartment, right? So I'm in the hallway, and I'm like, okay, I'm already scared a little bit. I'm like, ooh, and I just see this like dog, like a pit bull. I'm like, whoo. Like it runs.
You felt territorial, huh?
Like it scared me because he ran out the wall.
Why did it scare you? You're a dog too. You gotta like, get on him.
Shit, no, he ran out the wall. I don't know how the fuck that happened. He ran out the wall. He ran into the darkness and grew, and I just seen eyes. So I'm like, I just turned around, and went to sleep. One night, this was the scariest thing. Be prepared.
I'm scared.
I was in the bed. My mom was asleep. I'm young. I'm up watching my wife and kids. I remember, like, this memory is embedded in my head because this was so terrifying. I'm watching my wife and kids, and the door is cracked open. So I end up seeing something run past the door, and it looked like a little person. Like, imagine Chucky. Like, that's how it looked. But it had no features. Like, it was like a blur. But it looked like a small, like, short, like Chucky, like that's how it looked, but it was short like a gnome or something. So it ran across the door again, but it was like in stop motion, like it was phasing, like it wasn't like actually like moving. So then it got closer in the room. So it kept getting closer and closer, like coming closer and disappearing, coming closer and disappearing. And so it had got right to where my head was sleeping. So I was like, I closed my eyes. I'm like, please, Lord, like, please, let it just leave me alone. Let it just leave me alone. And I opened my eyes, and it was right on top of me. And I just like closed my eyes again, and I prayed, and I opened. It was gone. Like,
if you come from a belief system, then what you believe doesn't have the evidence that science would normally require to establish what is objectively true. That's why they're called belief systems, because you believe that something is true. Now, you may believe it so strongly that you know it's true, but that's an internal emotion that you carry. Belief systems are such that it may be true for you, but it's not really true for other people unless you convince them of it. And since it's based on belief, rational arguments tend to not work. You need methods of coercion or force, ultimately threat of violence, perhaps even threat of death. And so some of the most violent encounters civilization has ever had with itself is when one warring faction has a belief system that differs from that of their adversary. It's interesting to ask of ourselves in society, is there anything you would die for? You get one chance in life. What I have found is that the less tangible the thing is you're fighting for, the more abstract it is, the less evidence there is in support of it, the more willing people are to die for it. And so war always seems to be this glorious thing at the beginning. And then the body bags start coming back. And not only military casualties, but civilian casualties, just trying to live their lives, who are now susceptible to decisions made by people in power, who generally are not themselves the same people who go do the fighting. I find that dismaying, just being human in civilization as a scientist. But it's real, and it happens, and that's how the world is put together. With or without the League of Nations coming out of the First World War, with or without the United Nations after the Second World War, with charters that are signed, Geneva Conventions. At the end of the day, you can ask the question, can we just all get along?